Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Directors meeting for December 6, 2016. I'd like to welcome everybody here on this December day as we do the city's business. Madam Clerk, if you would you please read the roll?
Director Hendricks. Director Richardson. Director Webb. Here. Director Kazor. Here. Director Wright. Here. Director Wyrick. Director Computers. Director Fortson. Here. Director Adcock. Vice Mayor Hines.
Present.
Mayor Stodola.
Here. Let me call on Director Gene Fortson for our invocation, please. Director Fortson.
Thank you, Mayor. Would you join me in prayer? Our God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather as free people in a free country. We ask your guidance as we debate the affairs of the city this evening. Help us to make wise decisions that benefit all of our citizens. We ask your blessings and your protection for our first responders. Keep them safe as they protect the city. All these things we ask, and thank you for the blessings we've enjoyed. Amen.
Amen. Amen. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item of business is a presentation from the American Taekwondo Chief Master Richard Anderson.
Yes, sir. Students, stand up. Sir. Over here, ma'am. Hurry up, quickly, ma'am. Sir, over here, ma'am. Next. While the students are lining up, you should find in front of you a little brown package with your name on it. Please take that out, and you find just a little love in there for you. That's what we're here to introduce ourselves tonight. I'm Chief Master Richard Anderson, the Anderson's Taekwondo Center, and these are our students. The line up in front of them. You guys step forward, hurry up. That's good. And Chariot! Sir! Move over, sir. Move over, sir. Take one step back, sir. Everyone take one step forward, please.
Sir!
Very good.
Sir!
Good. Chariot!
Sir!
Kunai!
College bound, sir! ABC!
They said college bound. That means education is important. ABCs, please. See, Jack.
Sir! A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
Very good. Everyone about face?
Sir!
Hurry up. Turn around. I know you say, well, ABCs, everybody should know the ABCs. Stay with them as you can. Say them backwards. See, Jack.
Sir! Z, Y, X, W, V, U, T, S, R, Q, P, O, N, M, L, K, J, I, H, G, F, E, D, C, B, A.
ATCO, see, Jack.
Sir! I'll be a good person.
Need to hear
With
somebody.
knowledge in my mind, honesty in my heart, strength in my body, make good friends, become an awesome black belt, and community service.
Do sometimes you get mad?
Yes, sir.
Do sometimes you get mad?
Yes, sir.
Everyone does. And sometimes you want to fight, right?
Yes, sir.
But you're not going to fight, are you?
No, sir.
Give me star, please. See, Jack.
Sir. X-C-A-R, sir. Smile, take a deep breath, and relax. Respond positively and intelligently. How to become a star. We smile and change our inner feelings. We take a deep breath to allow the oxygen to enter our brain so we can think clearly. We relax because the situation is never as serious as we think it is. We respond positively and intelligently to give the other person a good example of what it means to be a star. Once you do that, you are a star, sir.
It was election year, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you name all 44 presidents?
Yes, sir.
See, Jack.
Sir, George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams.
Okay. We believe, right? Let's make it fun and sing it for me. See, Jack.
Sir, Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Quincy Adams, Jackson, and Murray, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, and Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan.
Okay, guys, that's good. It's time is hard now, and it's time that we should know our rights. First Amendment, please.
The freedom of speech, sir.
Second Amendment.
The right to bear arms, sir.
Third Amendment.
No military home except for wartime, sir.
Fourth Amendment.
No unreasonable searches, sir.
Fifth Amendment.
The right to remain silent, not incriminate yourself,
Let's
sir.
jump to the Third Amendment. 13th Amendment.
Sure. Sir.
Students, stand up straight and tall. Chariot.
Sir.
Face the mayor, please.
Sir.
Presented to Mayor Mark Stolola. Mayor, would you stand up, please? That's the mayor of our great city. We're giving you this award this evening to express our feelings for our city. We love this city. It was about 28 years ago that I brought students in here. Those students are all grown and have children of their own now. And this is our new flight of students. My methods hasn't changed, our ideology hasn't changed, our education hasn't changed, and neither have our city and what we feel about it. So with this award presented to Mayor Mark Stolola, board member and staff in our great city of Little Rock, Arkansas. We at Anderson's Taekwondo Center, Camp Positive, understand the heavy pressure that you must be under with all the unemployment going at a high rate, with the city crime rate rising, with our youth seemingly to be out of control. Chief Master Anderson and his students applaud you in your efforts to keep our great city working and safe. We love you, we respect you, we also trust that you will continue to do the best job possible for our children and our families. Therefore, we would like for you to please accept this plaque as a token of our loyalty to you and our great city. If you need us, just call us, please. May God bless you always, Chief Master Richard Anderson, students and board.
Well, Chief Master Richard Anderson, thank you so much on behalf of the Board of Directors and all of our employees who work hard to keep this city safe. I accept this and I'm very honored that you would present this to us, particularly with your students who are wonderful representatives of the future of our city. And I want to thank them for their discipline and their respect for each other that I know you help to instill in them each and every day.
Thank you, sir.
Continue with this great work, and we're well familiar with the important principles of the American Taekwondo Association and are very, very happy to have your organization here in the city of Little Rock.
Thank you, sir. Students! Students!
Sir!
Face here, please.
Sir!
Chariot!
Sir!
Come on!
Hands down, sir! ATC!
Will you follow me this way, please?
Sir!
Thank you.
Director Richardson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor, and Chief Master Anderson, thank you for a wonderful presentation. And Mayor, let me speak for myself, and myself only. My standing ovation was for the young people. It wasn't for you, sir.
I'm not surprised. Okay, we can now move on to our agenda. We have several additions for modification of the agenda. I'd like to first ask that we add M1 through M8 to the agenda. Is there a motion? There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The motion is passed. And so with that said, we also have a motion to defer item 16. or at least there's a suggestion for a motion for deferral of item 16.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to defer that until March 7th of 2017. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Item 16 will also be deferred. All right, we can now move on to the consent agenda, which are items 1 through 9. Madam Clerk, if you would read those, please.
The consent agenda consists of a motion to approve the minutes of the July 19th, 2016, August the 2nd, 2016, and August 16th, 2016 Little Rock City Board of Directors meeting, a motion to accept the 2015 audit, a resolution to authorize...
Is your microphone on? Okay, thank you.
To authorize the city manager to provide a contribution to the Arkansas Highway and Transportation Department project for intersection improvement to Asher Avenue, Conal Glen Road, University Avenue, and for other purposes. A resolution to transfer title to Sharon Houston via deed for property sold by the city of Little Rock to be used for neighborhood revitalization programs and for other purposes. A resolution to accept title to property donated to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas by a quitclaim deed to use for neighborhood revitalization programs and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to execute agreements with Presidio Network Solutions, LLC, in the amount of $336,217.26 for Phase 2 purchase, installation, and configuration of voice over internet protocol phone system to support the city's desk phone and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with McClellan Consulting Engineering, Inc., and in the amount of $63,000 to revise trails at the Little Rock Zoo pursuant to the Arkansas Highway and Transportation Trail Grant and for other purposes. A resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with McClellan Consulting Engineering, Inc., in the amount not to exceed $97,500 for the engineering and bid specifications, preparations for the Little Rock Zoo new Columbus Service exhibit and for other purposes, and a resolution to authorize the city manager to extend a rental agreement with C&K Equipment Company in the amount not to exceed $90,000 for the landfill compactor rental for the city's solid waste landfill and for other purposes. That concludes the consent agenda.
There's a motion and a second. We have a question from Director Wright. Director Wright, go ahead, please.
Mr. Moore, will you please explain Resolution 6 of what the voice over internet protocol phone system will do? Maybe I should know, but I don't.
Director Wright, this is the new model it's the old landline system that were installed in businesses and home and residential units. Now all of the providers are going to this voice over internet. It allows you to communicate with your phone and your computer. For instance, when I'm calling one of you all, it also comes up on our computer. So this is the new landline system the old landline system that was installed, and this is just our maintenance cost for that.
So will that be just at City Hall or?
No,
will
it's
that
throughout.
be-
It's a whole new phone system
Okay, all right, thank you.
for the entire organization.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The consent agenda is adopted. We can now move on to the reading of the citizen communication. I have one card, Mr. Duda. However, there's already an item on the agenda, so I believe that's what you're requesting to speak on. So, if you will, I'm going to leave that with that particular item as opposed to citizen communication. It's okay. There are no citizen communication cards at this time, so we can now move on to the reading of the grouped items, which would be items 10 through 13, and then it would be ordinances M1 through M5, and M7. If we could have first reading, please.
Okay, I see what he did. Okay, that's good.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned office district titled Lush Lemon Therapy Retreat, short form POD, located at 12,418 Cantor Road, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned residential district titled Diamond Park Community Revised Short Form PDR, located west of John Barrow Road on Labette Drive, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned industrial district titled Goodwill Industrial Industries of Arkansas, the Excel Center, long form PID, located at 7400 Scott Hamilton Drive, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned residential district titled Ondorf Construction, short form PDR, located at 500 block of East 16th Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for other purposes. An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance 11,366 to provide for the levying of franchise fee to be paid to CenterPoint Energy, Arcola, providing for the payment thereof and for other purposes. An ordinance to fix the imposed aggregated amount of the fees, charges to pay to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas by Energy Corporation and the method of payment thereof. Amending Section 9 of the Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 11,683, and for other purposes. An ordinance to levy franchise fees to be paid by all carriers providing local telephone access services, providing for payment thereof, and for other purposes. An ordinance to fix and impose amount of the fees and charges to be paid to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas by all companies that provide interstate, intrastate, long-distance telecommunication, and all business incidental to or connected with conducting to such telephone business in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending Section 3 of Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 15,706, and for other purposes. An ordinance to approve participation of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas in the insurance pool administered by the Arkansas Municipal League for certain litigation costs, expenses, and coverage to dispense the requirement of competitive selection, to declare an emergency, and for other purposes. A ordinance to provide for to adopt 2017 budget for the city of,
Or M7, please.
to amend, certain sections of the Little Rock Transportation Code, Little Rock, Arkansas Revised Code 34-1 and 34-141 to declare an emergency and for other purposes. A
Okay,
resolution.
we've had the first reading of the ordinances. Is there a motion to suspend the rules
Just the ordinances.
and place it on second reading? All in favor of suspending the rules and placing these ordinances on second reading indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Second reading, please.
Back to 10, start at 10.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned office district titled Lush Lemon Therapy Retreat, short form POD, located at 12,418 Cantor Road. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned residential district titled Diamond Park Community Revised Short Form PDR, located west of John Barrow Road on Labette Drive. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned industrial district titled Goodwill Industries of Arkansas, the Excel Center, long form PID, located at 7400 Scott Hamilton Drive. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned residential district titled Orndorff Construction, short form PDR, located in the 500 block of East 16th Street. Second reading.
Oh, you gotta go to their approved the modifications now. I remember M1. Yeah, they did all of those.
M1?
5. Yeah, go to M1. No, we're not doing that. Just do them all.
An ordinance to amend Little Rock, Arkansas, ordinance number 11,366 to provide for levying a franchise fee to be paid to Central Arkansas, CenterPoint Energy, Arcola, providing for the payment thereof. An ordinance to fix imposing aggregated amount of fees and charges to be paid to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas by Energy Corporation and the method of payment, amending section 9 of the Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance 11,683. And for other purposes, an ordinance to levy franchise fees to be paid by all carriers providing local telephone access services, providing for payment thereof, and for other purposes. An ordinance to fix and impose the amount of fees charged to be paid to the city of Little Rock, Arkansas by all companies that provide interstate and intrastate long-distance telecommunication services in all business incidental to or connected with conducting of such telephone business in the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, amending section 3 of Little Rock, Arkansas ordinance number 15,706, and for other purposes. An ordinance to approve participation of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas in an insurance pool administered by the Arkansas Municipal League for certain litigation costs, expenses, and coverage, to dispense with the requirement of competitive selection, to declare an emergency, and for other purposes. An ordinance to provide for the adoption.
Go to M7.
An ordinance to amend certain sections of the Little Rock Transportation, Little Rock, Arkansas Revised Code 34-1 to 34-141 to declare an emergency.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and leave ordinances M1 through M5 on second reading. Let me ask for a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinances 10 through 13 and M7 on third and final reading. There's a motion and a second to provide for third and final reading of grouped items 10 through 13 and item M7. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Third reading, please.
Go back to item 10. And then M7, item 10, in the grouped.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned office district titled Lush Lemon Therapy Retreat, short form POD. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned residential district titled Diamond Park Community Revised, short form PDR, located west of John Barrow Road on Labette Avenue. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned industrial district titled Goodwill Industries of Arkansas, the Excel Center, long form PID, located at 7400 Scott Hamilton Drive. An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned residential district titled Orndorff Construction, short form PDR, located at 500 Block East 16th Street.
Then go to M7.
An ordinance to amend certain sections of the Little Rock Transportation Code, Little Rock, Arkansas Revised Code 34-1 to 34-141 to declare an emergency.
Okay, that concludes three readings of those ordinances. Is there any question? Director Richardson, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Bruce, on number 12, this Excel Center, are we talking about a charter school, or are we talking about an extension of a public school, K through 12? Or are we talking about a skill development center for disconnected adult and youth?
As Mr. Brzezinski come forward, we sent a little note out Friday about what we learned from him, but Mr. Brzezinski. Here you go.
Director Richardson, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the board, is it the Goodwill proposal?
Yes, sir.
This is what's being proposed is a public charter school for individuals 19 years or older to go through their school and to receive a high school diploma.
And do we have any indication, how they're gonna recruit these participants? Will it be citywide or those from that particular area? Or do we not
Director
know that?
Richardson, that information was not provided to us, as far as I know.
And it was land bank property that we're talking about?
No, this is the Goodwill proposal. The land bank is a property at, I think, 9500 Geyer Springs. That's to be utilized or will be used as a daycare center.
That's what I thought.
So those are two different items.
I guess the memo that I'm looking at is, yeah, you had me the wrong one. I'm looking at something different than what I was handed. Sorry about the confusion. So we have no idea of how they're gonna train them, and it's gonna be for 19 and above to get GED, and it's a charter school.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, thank you, Tony.
Director Hancock, you're recognized, please.
The people with Goodwill are here, and I would like for them to come up and answer Director Richardson's questions and other questions we might have.
Is Brian Iskowitz here, please?
Yes?
Brian, if you'd come forward.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, Mr. Richardson. Would love to talk to you about the opportunity that we've got with the Excel Center. It's actually the first of its kind in the state, and we're doing it here in Little Rock. It is truly an adult high school for people that have, through whatever reason, decided to, prior life decision, drop out. It's not a GED. It is truly a high school diploma. So you've got a real high school diploma. We're partnered with Pulaski Tech, so folks that have dropped out and really had no chance before of getting a high school diploma are going to leave with concurrent college credit. And then also we're an approved private academy, so we do trades. So folks are going to leave there with stackable credentials in addition to a real high school diploma. The model that we're using comes from the Indianapolis Goodwill, where they've had tremendous success, where people entering, it's basically a 2-year program, and there's a $9,000 per year difference in their income after they go through it. So it's really a life-changing thing, and we're really proud of it.
Yeah, Brian, you might. Did you want to go ahead and say?
Yeah, thank you, Brian. That was my question. It seems like this will be in addition to a GED, a skill development center, and it looks like we're going to target disconnected adults and youth.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Brian. That's my question, Mayor.
Brian, you might also mention that this is not using any state money as well, if you'd like to elaborate a little bit on that.
Correct. As we all know, the word charter can be a 4-letter word sometimes. And we actually had the law changed to allow for this. And one of the things that we did to make sure that it went through, because we believe that this is truly mission critical to the citizens, we're funding this. So what the Goodwill Board has committed to fund it for 3 years, and we're looking at it's probably $1 million a year spend for us.
Thank you, Brian. Sounds great. Sounds like something that's needed in our community. So thank you for that.
Director Hendricks.
Thank you. I think you have other staff with you. Would you have those persons to come up? I did meet a young man on the elevator.
Sure.
Come on up. Let me know who you are, what you're doing.
Good evening. I'm Brandy Peterson, Director of Career Services at Goodwill.
My name is Rick Watts. I'm the Reentry Service Manager for Goodwill Industry of Arkansas. How's everybody doing today? I'm very excited and proud of the job I have. I help young men and young ladies that's been released from prison transition back into our community. I'm very excited about this opportunity because I believe that the people that we serve in our reentry program, every little step goes a long ways. And I think the fact of them being able to receive the high school diploma and the family witnessing, I think that's a huge step. And we've also mentioned it to a lot of people in our program already, and they're incredibly excited about it. So we're very excited about it.
What's the recidivism rate?
Our recidivism rate in our program is less than 10%. Our program is called the TEO program. It's a transitional employment opportunity. And this program has changed the lives of a lot of people. The people that enter our program, our placement rate has been 90%. We're incredibly excited about that. But the biggest thing about our program is that we have an incredible curriculum that we put in place we're excited about, but we recognize that people change people. We put people in that have the passion and the passion and the knowledge to be able to change lives. And we've been incredibly excited about that, and we're just excited about going forward. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hello again. Like I said, I'm Brandy Peterson, Director of Career Services. I oversee 22 of the career centers here in the state of Arkansas. They're located mostly in our stores, where we help people that come in to work on their resume, if they're looking for a job, just depending on putting that foot out there to help them, say if they're trying to get into a particular position and don't know how to sell themselves, we actually assist them with that. We do mock interviews. We also assist with clothing if they need preparation for that interview. Sometimes giving someone a little boost of, you're doing fine, that extra step, helping them to understand what they do, what they can do is also a big part of what we do here at Goodwill. Currently, right now, we've placed over, since July 1, we've placed almost 2,700 people in jobs. Their first time coming into Goodwill and understanding what it is we do, and that's all across the state of Arkansas.
Hi, I'm Brian Marsh. I'm the Chief Operating Officer, and I work in support of the organization in delivering our mission.
Director Richardson, did you have anything else?
One last question, Bruce, with respect to reentry, and I think that's an important issue for a lot of municipalities to impact the recidivism rate. Are we currently now, do we plan on partnering the city's reentry efforts with the reentry efforts he just described to us?
We do currently.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay, thank you, Brian. What Goodwill does is simply amazing. Thank you for being a part of our community, and the growth that you and your team have brought has truly been rewarding, not only to the individuals that you've helped, but to the greater good of the community. So thank you, and you all keep up the good work. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we've had the three readings of the ordinances. All in favor of the passage of those ordinances indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The ordinances have passed, and on the emergency clause on ordinance M7, all in favor of the emergency clause indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The emergency clause is also passed. We can now move on to the first reading of ordinance number 6, which is the budget for 2017. Let me ask for first reading, please.
An ordinance to provide for and to adopt the 2017 budget for the city of Little Rock, Arkansas for the period beginning January the 1st, 2017 and ending December the 31st, 2017, to appropriate resources and uses for every expenditure item and fund, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. First reading.
All right, Mr. Moore, do you want to leave this on first reading, or you want to put it on second reading like the others?
Second reading like the others.
All right. So motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Second reading, please.
An ordinance to provide for and to adopt the 2017 budget for the city of Little Rock, Arkansas for the period beginning January the 1st, 2017 and ending December the 31st, 2017, to appropriate resources and uses for every expenditure item and fund, to declare an emergency and for other purposes. Second reading.
Okay, we're going to leave that on second reading, and I anticipate that we will recess this meeting until the 13th, at which time hopefully we'll be able to pass the budget. Okay. believe this takes us to our separate items. And the first item is Resolution 14. Madam Clerk, if you would read the resolution, please.
A resolution to ask the Little Rock delegation to the 91st Arkansas General Assembly to sponsor the legislative to repeal the reference to a January holiday in honor of the birthday of Robert E. Lee, so it will be exclusively in honor of the birthday of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and for other purposes. First reading.
Move for the adoption of the resolution. Second. There's a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Is there any discussion? Director Fortson?
I move previous question, Mr. Mayor.
The question has been moved and seconded. The question's been called. I will note that I do have some cards, all of which I do believe, except for one, wish to speak in favor of it. The question's been called. Any discussion on calling the question? All in favor of calling the question indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We're calling the question, which means a vote on the motion. Director Adcock?
No, this is on, I'll make a statement after we do this.
All in favor of the passage of the resolution indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The resolution is passed. Director Adcock, you're recognized.
Yes, I voted no on this, and I would also like to request that any letter that goes to the legislature does not contain my name on it. I feel like that we have enough problems in this city without trying to tell the state what to do. I don't like the idea of them telling us to do stuff about the airport or anything else, and I think that we need to solve the problems of Little Rock. Thank you.
All right, that'll be noted in the record. And to those people who are here to speak in favor of it, thank you. The legislation has been taken care of and passed. Okay, we can move now on to our next item of business, which is a public hearing on ordinance number 15. Before I get to that, is there an Angela Tender or Gender in the audience? Angelo, I'm sorry, it looks like an A on the end of there. Angelo, you wanted to speak on the budget. We're gonna deal with the budget next Tuesday at 4 o'clock, and I'll be happy to recognize you then. Is that all right? Okay. Very good.
That's Laura's husband. Administrative assistant.
Director Hendricks, yes.
I wanted to ask you, I've been here for 10 years and I've never seen the cameras act.
Looks like a few people are clearing out. Maybe there's more room for people to sit.
Fire marshal wouldn't allow this.
Okay, we can now move on to ordinance number 15. And let me ask for the first reading of ordinance number 15, please.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned commercial district titled West Markham, North Monroe, short form, PCD, located at 4908 West Markham Street, Little Rock, Arkansas, amending the official zoning map of the city of Little Rock, Arkansas, and for the purposes. First reading.
Is there a motion?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on second reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Second reading, please.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned commercial district titled West Markham, North Monroe, short form, PCD, located at 4908 West Markham Street, Little Rock, Arkansas. Second reading.
Move to suspend the rules and place on third and final reading.
Second.
One against. There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules and place this ordinance on third and final reading. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Third and final reading, please.
An ordinance to approve a planned zoning development and establish a planned commercial district titled West Markham, North Monroe, short form, PCD, located at 4908 West Markham Street, Little Rock, Arkansas. Third and final reading.
Thank you. Are you gonna hit? Yes, Director Kazort?
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is an issue that we have heard a lot from a lot of different people, and we're probably very familiar with what we have to deal with tonight. So I would make a motion that we limit the pro and con each to 15 minutes per side.
There's a motion and a second to limit debate on this to 15 minutes per side. All in favor, Director Adcock, do you have a comment on that?
For us in this setting before.
That's correct. This is the first reading.
And so why would we limit both sides of this since this has never been before us?
So are you wishing to speak against the motion?
Yes.
All right.
How many people do we have here to speak?
We have 5 cards.
Against or for?
It appears that they're all against.
Well, I
So
would like to hear
what
from
you're
all
doing
the
is giving
people.
an extra 15 minutes to somebody that, and yet acknowledge that they want to speak for it, so.
I don't either.
All right, there's a motion and a second to limit debate to 15 minutes on each side. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
The nays have it. We'll go forward with discussion. Let me call on the applicant for a presentation, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Directors, staff. My name is Stuart Mackey. I'm with Caldwell Banker Commercial Hathaway Group, and I'm here to present the property owner's request for the PCD for property at 4908 West Markham. As you know, this property is a closed branch bank with drive-up windows that sits on the property that is currently zoned O3 and C3. While we're asking for a PCD for the redevelopment of the property, do keep in mind that the current zoning allows for restaurant use with a drive-up window outright on the portion of the property that's currently zoned C3, and it's allowed as an accessory use under the O3 zoning that currently sits on the property. A PCD provides for rational placement of activities, vehicular and pedestrian circulation, access, egress, loading, landscaping, and other matters in an orderly development design. This PCD provides such design. The plan reflects time and effort invested to produce a configuration that protects and enhances the viability of each independent use in the area. The proposed new construction is based on recommendations from the city staff. The owner inquired as to the staff's opinion as to reusing the current building or starting fresh, and the staff thought that it'd be better to start fresh with new construction, and that's how we came up with our original design. After some consideration of the original design, the staff asked and requested, and the owner agreed, that the owner rotate the building, and the owners agreed to do that after spending time and money to meet personally with members of Popeyes Corporate, the franchisor for the proposed use, to gain approval of this change. We've met with staff on several occasions during the process to discuss appropriate design for this development. The staff made recommendations for changes to the site plan to create a proposal that would fit better into the area and that would be acceptable to the city staff. The current plan shows an order board that's oriented toward a similar C3 use, Wendy's, and so we agreed to do that, facing the order board to the west. The staff asked that we move the pickup window so that it would face Markham, and we agreed to do that. We in doing our redesign and rotating the building to accommodate the pickup window on Markham and the order board facing Wendy's, we then created a situation where there are no existing parking spots, there are no existing proposed parking spots facing any of the residential property, which currently there are lots facing those residential properties across the street. The owners agreed to have the drive on Markham continue to be a right turn out drive only. This limits the locations of left turn drives onto and off of Markham. This has been a concern voiced by the staff, the city traffic department, and previous meetings with the Planning Commission for this and for other properties on Markham. Again, the owners agreed to follow the staff's recommendations of keeping that a right turn out drive. As you're aware, the day of the November scheduled presentation, we were working very fast to try to get a last-minute proposal considered. We've taken time to do that, try to figure out a reconfiguration of driveways. As most of you may know, we've talked with Public Works about that, and with the Planning Department, and with the affected adjoining property owner, as well as the applicant. We determined that the plan development presented tonight works best for all those who have been consulted after that last redraw. The city staff says that they'd like this type of business to cluster close to Fair Park and Markham, or to Cedar and Markham. The owners worked hard to find a location that is close to similar uses and to these intersections. Do note that there are only 4 businesses between the hard corner of Fair Park and Markham and this property. There's only one intersection, Jackson Street and Markham, between this property and Van Buren. We've worked diligently and hard to find a spot that's as close as we can get to the staff's preferred intersections. The owners met with the city regarding landscape, and the owners agreed to comply with the city landscape ordinance. The owners met with the Midtown Redevelopment Board, and they've supported this PCD. We've met several times with the Hillcrest Residents Association to talk about their proposal. They've not expressed any concern about this development. There's been discussion about this being an entrance into Hillcrest. You would note, looking at an aerial plan, that Monroe is one of the few entrances, exits into Hillcrest that has a dedicated right turn lane onto Markham, as well as a lane for those going straight or turning left. It's one of the few entrances that's designed for that type of layout. So it's a broader intersection, which you might find at other locations through there. Yet another reason why this location, close to similar uses, is a good location. The proposal balances investment in redevelopment with good use for the community via a concentrated effort in planning the use and operation of the business at this location. Again, we've worked with the community, attending multiple neighborhood association meetings. We've talked to members of the community. We've discussed the development plans with the overlay district, and we see this use as a benefit to the community north and south of Markham, the people who live and work in the area. We have a petition from over 225 people who live and work in the neighborhood who would favor this PCD. We feel, as do the people who've signed this petition, that this will be beneficial for the community. One benefit that we've realized, as the Arkansas Hospitality Association has pointed out in some of their research, is that restaurants are the second largest private sector employer in the country. America's restaurants are not only an economic force, but they are an industry of opportunity. Harkens back to Land of Opportunity of Arkansas. And that is their term, land of industry of opportunity. Not only do restaurants provide first jobs for lots of folks, it delivers transferable work skills, which we find are important, as we've talked earlier tonight, upward mobility, and long-term careers all around. A new source for jobs will benefit the community. The owner shared that this store will close at 10 p.m. Typically, Popeyes close at 11. So this, as you realize, is an hour earlier than the typical Popeyes restaurant. In trying to keep in line with other restaurants in the area, we took some time to figure out what other hours are so that we see if we're making a major impact and changing things in the neighborhood. Jimmy's Series Sandwiches and the small Subway shop on Cedar close at 9. Cheese 2 on Markham also closes at 9. I'm sorry, Jimmy's closes at 8. The only other two restaurants that close at 10 are Slim Chickens and Subway. There are other restaurants after our proposed close time, which include Burger King, which closes at midnight, Wendy's, which is immediately next door and stays open until 1, Taco Bell, which stays open until 3 a.m., and we all know that IHOP, just around the corner, is working on putting a new building up and will probably be open 24 hours, as they are most of their locations. And just in case we want to broaden the neighborhood, there are a number of neighborhood restaurants on Kavanaugh and Hillcrest that are open until 10 o'clock or later. So we've worked to shorten our hours to try to meet the neighborhood's consideration. We feel that a 10 p.m. closing time is well within the neighborhood standards. As I mentioned before, we've worked with the staff to meet the request in an effort to gain approval of this PCD. We're not asking for any proposed waivers or deferrals. I've been told that the staff struggled on whether they'd support this request. The owners worked hard to meet the requests and suggestions of the staff. In agreeing with these recommendations, it was the belief of the owner that he'd met all of the staff's concerns and thereby would receive staff support. We have not, and then we went to the Planning Commission. And as you can tell, at the Planning Commission, we got a 5-5 vote with one slot open. I did talk with one of the dissenting voters after that meeting, and his biggest concern was parking. I don't know why, because we've met with the parking requirements and we're meeting code on that. So again, we're not asking for variances. While this use does not dovetail with the land use plan's recommendations for Markham, it is consistent with Markham's current commercial development. There are only 4 businesses, again, between Fair Park and this location. This site clusters similar businesses, Wendy's, other buildings, and businesses with drive-through. The property immediately to the north of this property is zoned office. So any day of the week, someone could come in and rent that out as an office space. Wendy's has C3 zoning, which allows for the drive-through, as does a portion of this property currently. This PCD does not reach as far back into the neighborhood as adjoining commercial businesses do. Wendy's goes 50 feet further back than this does. The bank next to that goes even further back in the neighborhood. So we're not like Wendy's, and we're not like the branch bank. We've got a buffer between us and the neighborhood of the O1 zoned property immediately behind our property. The big points that I'd like to keep in mind tonight are that this is a $2 million investment in the neighborhood. It will add a new revenue stream to the city's AMP tax base, as well as property base supporting schools and law enforcement. It will provide over 40 new jobs. This development will enhance the quality of life for the community. People who live and work in the area support this addition to the neighborhood. You can see that from the petition. This is an opportunity to add an active, desired business at a location that will benefit the neighborhood. The building's empty, and we all know that empty buildings are not as good as active businesses, and that active businesses are better for the community. This business will provide some relief from some of the concerns that people will voice later about yet another restaurant in the area. If we have one more restaurant, we'll be able to spread some of that congestion across the board, and that will certainly alleviate congestions at other restaurants and other intersections throughout the area while it serves the community who seeks to have this in town. This is meeting a demand in the marketplace, and it provides a quality member to help stabilize the neighborhood. Waleed Ismail's here. He's the developer. He's got a couple restaurants in town already. He's looking forward to doing a few more, and he's proud about being the Popeyes, being my preferred Popeyes franchisee here in the city. It's my understanding the purpose and intent of a PCD is to accommodate developments containing any combination of uses. This development has had several stakeholders providing inputs on this site, creating a thoroughly planned property. It merits approval. We appreciate your support of this PCD, and I reserve any remaining time to respond to any questions or concerns brought up later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mackey. There may be a few questions for you now. Director Wright, you're recognized, please.
Yes, you said that this restaurant exit, nobody will be able to turn and go back into the neighborhood?
No, what I said is on Markham, there's a right turn exit only sign right now, so you can only turn right onto Markham. So there will not be a left turn from the site onto Markham. It's the way the property's been for a long time.
So if I'm at this Popeyes and I decide I don't want to go that way, I want to go back into the neighborhood, I can do that.
Yes, ma'am, there'll still be a full service or full access driveway on Monroe the way there is now. You can see it's shown here. Now, we looked at this a couple of different ways. We had an engineer draw it up. We've talked to Wendy's about combining making a single driveway onto Markham. Presented several issues. The first one would be that anybody coming to the site would have to come off of Markham, turning left off of Markham into this site, would then have to circle the site if they're doing a drive-up window, and then circle the site yet again to get out. A single driveway that would be shared by Wendy's, well, let me back up. If we took the Markham driveway that's there now and put in a left turn lane, I think your city engineer would tell you that that's a lot closer to Monroe than they'd want to be. So we tried to push that to the western boundary of this property. What you then do would lose the easternmost drive for Wendy's. That creates a problem in that Wendy's has people coming in and out, they have people coming in as we had people coming out. And that would create stacking and traffic issues for a single-use drive, or for a single driveway that would be being used by two people. So that was a very hard situation for us to make sense out of. And above and beyond that, and let me hand you these drawings. These are the ones that we drew up that shows the single driveway.
While he's doing that, Mr. Moore, I do have a question for staff. It says that staff recommends denial. Can we get an explanation as to why? It's the same thing we got on the screen.
So I'm sorry I didn't bring enough copies for everybody.
We'll pass them around.
So we'll pass them around. Again, the biggest issue here was you'd have a lot of cross-traffic. You'd have stacking of traffic trying to get out. The way it's set up now is you have an exit only from our site. You then have an entrance only from Wendy's. And then further away from Monroe, you've got an exit. So you've got people turning left out of that exit for Wendy's a good distance away from Monroe. And if we move this one closer, you'd have a stack up of traffic that was not acceptable to us, to Wendy's. My understanding, the staff didn't like it. The city engineers weren't crazy about it. We'd have to move an electrical pole for the power line that runs down the street. We'd have to move Wendy's sign. There are a lot of moving parts to that.
Yeah, Mayor,
Okay,
members of the
Director Wright has a question for staff.
Yeah, thank you. I would like Mr. Brzezinski, because I can never remember a time
If
that
you'll just, there's a few more questions if you.
I've had someone anyway, Mr. Brzezinski. Well, I think there was a lot of comments regarding staff's participation as this was evolving. I think Mr. Brzezinski will clarify that.
Director Wright, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the board, what is before you is a planned development. And a planned development, as you all know, looks not just at the use of the property, but also a site plan. And if this is ultimately approved, as with any other planned development, that's what has to be developed, that site plan in front of you. We did meet with the applicant on several occasions. Initially, the first plan that they submitted did not come close at all to meeting any of the Midtown Design Overlay districts, so some changes were suggested to possibly allow the plan to come closer to meeting or coming into compliance with the Design Overlay District. But also what we are looking at has possibly minimized any impacts on this immediate neighborhood. There's single family across the street, and as Mr. Mackey has pointed out, the property directly to the north is zoned O1, which is a quiet office district, but it's currently being used as single family. And as you continue further north on North Monroe, that's all single family. So after looking at the plan that they submitted in the surrounding area, we determined, or we felt that in the end, that the use would still potentially have an impact on this area, and that's why we're recommending denial. As has been mentioned, traffic, the possible spillover of parking into the neighborhood from this site. So taking all those into consideration, again, we determined that we could not support the application.
Okay, Tony, explain to me, I think he said that the old 2 or whatever the zoning currently is, will allow them to put a restaurant there? Is that-
Director Wright, that is 03. As you know, all zoning districts have permitted uses, conditional uses, and 03 has what's called accessory uses. That's accessory to a principal use, and the accessory uses in 03, general office, it states shall not exceed 10% of the total floor area of the site. So typically what this is allowing, if you have an office building, you could possibly, some of the uses include a barber beauty shop, an eating place, a florist shop, have those as additional uses, but not the principal use of the property.
Okay,
It
I
has a limitation on this, on the square footage.
Okay, I understand now. So they really couldn't put this restaurant there on the current zoning?
No. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, this is in the Midtown Design Overlay District, and new developments require them to go through a planned development process.
Okay, thank you.
Director Hendricks, is your question for whom? The applicant or for Mr. Bazinski? All right, go ahead, please.
Right there. I wanted to ask you, Tony, is this the same site that was once a bank?
Director Hendricks, it was a bank, it's now a vacant bank.
Yeah,
building.
but this is the property, the same
Yes.
location.
Yes.
Has this been before us before? This is our first time. Was it deferred? Wasn't this on the calendar and was moved? Another. Oh, and it was
There
rejected.
was another restaurant
Right, and we
proposal.
rejected that also.
That was denied by the board, yes, that's correct.
Okay. Well, my question would be when it comes up for the applicant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tony. You might just stand close by. Mr. Mackey, Director Hendricks, you have a question for Mr. Mackey?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking at the signatures here, and I know that they don't make the law, but is anybody here that solicited some of these signatures?
I solicited some of them, I think. Mustafa, did you solicit? Mustafa solicited some of those, yeah.
It may not make a difference, but I'd like for him to come to the mic if possible. May he come? Could he come to the mic, Mayor? That gentleman that did the solicitation of this
You
petition.
have a question?
Well, there
Yeah.
were two different I mean, I did some and he did some. Can I answer the
Well,
question
yeah,
and then?
What was your response for residents when you were getting this? I know what is written here, but you don't have to, I don't believe everything I read, neither do I believe everything I see. So what was your response when these individuals signed this petition? Were they fully aware of what you were talking about?
Yes, ma'am. They, most of the people that I talked to were in informal gatherings in the Hillcrest area. There were some people who were in my office in Riverdale. I had a few people who said they weren't interested in doing that, and most of the people who signed that said they were ecstatic. Excuse me, they were ecstatic about having Popeyes closer so they wouldn't have to drive down to South University or over to North Little Rock to get Popeyes chicken. Most of those people who signed that were diehard Popeyes chicken fans.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for Mr. Moore. Thank you. Mr. Moore, I wanted to ask you earlier, you attempted to say something when the mayor asked about staff participation. What are you all talking about? Because sometimes I know staff gets involved. It can be a lot of crooked people. They can be personnel, they can be non-personnel. I've lived long enough to know that sometimes you have inside stuff going on when it comes to applicants.
I think sometimes the staff gets criticized for sitting down with potential applicants and talking about various, for instance, in this case, the DOD. You know, we want to, and I think Tony and his staff, we pride ourselves on, we want Little Rock to be an easy place to do business. But we also pride ourselves in how we impact neighborhoods. And every first and third Tuesday, you usually deal with an issue and how it impacts neighborhoods. And I think we've been fairly consistent when it comes into encroaching in neighborhoods. And our neighborhoods, whether in Southwest Little Rock or West Little Rock or here in Midtown. And I think that's important, and Tony and I talk about that a lot, that it's important to be consistent when we're making our recommendation.
Well, was this a rumor, or how did it come about?
What do you
That
mean?
It appeared that staff was interfering. I think, well, it's a question that came from the mayor to you. And I
It
really
wasn't
think-
me. I didn't ask any questions. Sorry to Director Hendricks. I think Director Wright maybe asked that question. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
When I interrupted you, when you attempted to cut Bruce off, and at that point, it had to do with personnel. Okay.
I've not asked Mr. Moore any
Or
questions.
do you remember when I had you to come back to the mic because the mayor attempted to stop you from talking, and I had you to start talking again? Okay, forget it. I know what I'm talking about, you know. I know that I'm being redundant. I've lived long enough to know that games have been played amongst employees. That's the reason why we have courts, and that's the reason why people appear in court. That's all I gotta say.
Director Fortson, you're recognized, please.
Mr. Buzinski?
And they got people that live in Bigelow on here.
Mr. Carter, would you put the zoning map back on the screen, please? Tony, when you were talking a moment ago, I think I got confused. I want to look again at this property, and as I understand it, the area shaded in red is all zoned O3.
Director Fortson, no.
Where is the O1 and within the red?
The O1 is directly to the north outside of the red, where the cursor is.
Okay.
And then what would be approximately a little bit more than the east half of the area shaded or highlighted in the red is the O3 general office.
Right. I said
And
CMLO.
then that other, that area is zone C3 general commercial. That line that goes through the building is the zoning line between the O3 and the C3.
So, refresh my memory, what could be placed on this property by right?
A bank. I'm sorry.
But,
I don't have very seldom do we run into a situation where we have split zoning like you have here. And I'm not, how that happened, I don't know if we were able to finally determine, but, as you know, O3 general office,
well, let me ask you a hypothetical question, which is probably unfair, but I'll ask it anyway. If I wanted to, could I put a bar in C3 and a parking lot for the bar in the O3, since that's ancillary area?
Director Fortson, parking has to have the similar zoning as the
Right.
use that it's serving.
And all of that be subject to the overlay district?
And that's
whatever it might
correct.
be.
And typically, like I stated earlier, this design overlay district requires development to go through the plan development process.
At the area immediately to the west of this is all C3, that's the Wendy's that's been discussed.
Yes, that's the Wendy's, then there's a bank branch, and then,
I don't know whether you can answer this or Mr. Mackey needs to be referred to a barrier at the back of the property. And there's no line that would indicate exactly where that might be. Can you tell me roughly where that would be? Separating the subject property from the office property behind.
the O1 to the north.
Right.
That would just be the north property line. And then they're required to have landscaping, a landscape strip adjacent to that.
And then the structure identified as O1 behind there is obviously zoned for office, but you say presently occupied as a residence?
It's a single-family residence,
Single
that's correct.
A rented residence in an office zoned area, I would assume.
I
Okay.
don't know if it's a rental unit.
Can I ask Mr. Mackey a question now, Mayor, while this
Sure,
map
go
is
ahead.
up? Mr. Mackey, if I understood you correctly, you said there was a barrier and greater separation between your subject property and the adjacent property toward the north.
I may have spent a little too much time in Chicago after college and before I got smart and moved back down here. I was simply referring to the fact that the O1 zoned property immediately to the north of the C3 and O3 zone that we're looking to change to PCD provides a buffer to the residential that's north of that. As Tony pointed out, clearly there'll be a fence and landscaping and appropriate setbacks for that as well.
I see your point. The O1 is actually the barrier between your property and the
Residential zone property, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Director Webb, you're recognized, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Director Fortson asked some of the questions, but I was not at the Midtown Redevelopment Committee meeting when you all presented there. And can you tell me what was is it okay to ask, like, what was the discussion at that group?
It's been a while. There was not a whole lot of discussion. I mean, you know, I think the biggest question they had is, why are you not doing a double drive-through? And we said we didn't think that was appropriate for this location, and it wasn't what this owner wanted to do. He wanted to provide some place for people to sit down and eat if they wanted to do that. And I think that was it. There were not any major issues at all. They didn't ask about parking. They didn't ask, parking's within code. We're not asking for fewer parking spaces than we should have. They didn't ask about driveways. They didn't ask about the height of the, well, I think they did ask about the height of the building, and we agreed to lower it 2 feet because the typical prototype sits a little bit higher, and we've agreed to lower that. But I think that was really the only major concerns for this development.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Hines?
So Stuart or Bruce here, so Midtown Advisory Committee met, and so it meets all the requirements of the design overlay district for this area. Is that correct?
We've agreed to all the design criteria,
Okay.
yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mackey. We do have some cards that wish to speak on this matter. I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing to comply with our legal obligations. Ruth Bell.
As you well know, I am Ruth Bell, and I'm representing the League of Women Voters of Pulaski County. And I wrote this up, so you have to bear with me. We oppose the change of this site's use from office as a branch bank to intense commercial fast food outlet because such a use is inappropriate to this location. The current office use is an appropriate step down in traffic volume, number of site visitors, hours of operation, between the busy commercial uses immediately to the west, including Wendy's, around the intersection of Markham and Fair Park, and the residential uses further along Markham to the east. We do have residences east of Monroe fronting on Markham, as well as along Monroe going north. Continuing an office use for this site enables the immediate neighborhood to continue to enjoy the amenities that make Hillcrest a desirable residential area, and to avoid the negative safety impacts the increased traffic from the proposed use will bring to the area, including going north on Monroe to avoid having to get out on Markham making a turn. We ask that you reject the applicant's appeal of the Planning Commission. Thank you.
The next card I have is from Rosalind Utley.
Good evening. My name is Rosalind Utley. Just going to hit on a couple of points. First of all, I live right there on the corner of Markham and Monroe, so our house faces that business right there. That intersection is just a really busy intersection. There pretty much is traffic flowing on Markham all day long. The morning and evening commute is much worse. at that time. There still will be traffic with the site that has presented. There's still going to be traffic that flows onto Monroe, which could prevent those of us that do live there parking, as some of us have to park in front of our houses. Wrecks. There are a lot of wrecks that happen at this intersection. There was actually just a wreck there last week where a car hit one of the poles that they were talking about. This year alone, just a few blocks down at Markham and Fair Park, there have actually been 68 wrecks, and that intersection is ranked number 20 in the worst intersections in the city. There is a light there that regulates the traffic, so however, at Markham and Monroe, there is no light. So you constantly have people trying to cross over between Markham and Monroe, going left or right, and it's just, the traffic there is just already congested. Also, the petition that they were speaking about, that petition was never brought to our house at any point in time. I know that they stated that there was a petition, however, no one ever knocked on our door to ask, if we were for or for against it. As far as trash, we get a lot of trash being right there on the corner of Markham and Monroe. And, with another fast food, it could just accumulate and we could get more trash. Also crime. The city has seen an increase in crime lately, and, by putting another business there, it could potentially add to the crime rate just with the foot traffic and the cars and that sort of thing. There could be, more car break-ins than there have been. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Utley.
Thanks.
Scott Richardson?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and directors. My name is Scott Richardson. I'm a lifelong resident of Little Rock. I've lived on North Monroe with my family for, going on 10 years now. At the beginning of the meeting, this is the 5th time we've been down here to oppose this request before the Planning Commission and then before you. At the beginning of my meeting, I thought maybe I should have followed the strategy we did the first time, which is to bring my 4 kids and my wife down, but it was a little long for my kids to sit through. We oppose this request for some of the reasons that have already been stated. Ms. Utley, she didn't mention she's got her daughter with her right now. They're raising a family there. Her husband is there as well. He's a assistant principal over at J.A. Fair. So they're good. She's a teacher as well. So they're good members of our community. Excuse me. Most of those houses on that end of Monroe do not have off-street parking. So it's primarily on-street parking. Mr. Mackey indicated some confusion about why there was a problem with the parking in the facility. That's because there's 48 seats and 11 spaces plus 2 handicap spaces. So they're not planning on parking their patrons inside their parking lot. They're planning on them spilling out onto the street, which is going to cut off a lot of those residents on that end of the street from being able to park in or near their homes. The adults, the children that live there. So it is a problem. It's going to focus a lot more traffic on North Monroe. Right now, across the street, where it's zoned R2, that's the Department of Health. A lot of employees there. Down the street is UAMS. And Mr. Mackey before the Planning Commission stated that his petition he got, most of the people who signed it were from the Department of Health and UAMS. They didn't come into the neighborhood. They didn't come down North Monroe to get petition signatures. I've never seen the petition. My wife has not seen the petition. I don't think any of our neighbors have seen the petition. I'd also note that with the Design Overlay District meeting, none of us got notice of that meeting. And not even Ms. Utley, who lives directly across the street. So the Design Overlay District didn't really, nobody was quite concerned what the people who were going to have to live with this change in use were going to think about it. The traffic on West Markham there, especially during evening rush hour, is regularly backed up well past North Monroe. It is heavy traffic there. This change in use will focus more traffic on that end of Monroe Street. It's difficult to gain access to the neighborhood via Markham, especially if you need to turn left and head downtown, where I work and several others of us work. So this use is only going to make that much more difficult, especially considering the narrow nature of the street. There are technically 3 lanes at the end of the street, but they're really too narrow to really use all 3 of them at a given time, especially with the people who live there that park on the street because they don't have off-street parking, which is only going to become worse when you have 48 patrons trying to squeeze into 11 spaces. Across from the Department of Health is a wonderful park that the city added. It was the tennis courts, the War Memorial tennis courts, and I was disappointed to see those go. But I have to say that the use right there and the park that was added is just a wonderful addition to the area. I see people out there using it all the time. My family, we go down there and use it. I taught one of my daughters how to ride bike in that park. It's a great addition to the area. I think it fits well with one of the reasons that I understood staff to be opposed, which is this area is identified on the city's future land use plan as office. And so as I understand it, the idea is the city decided that this area where they want to build this fast food restaurant, the city decided it needs to become office space. The Wendy's that Mr. Mackey spent a lot of time talking about has been there forever. Ever since I can remember, that Wendy's has been there. So I think they're pretty well grandfathered in. I have a vague memory that part of the reason that C3 space is there has to do with the Wendy's and the configuration of its parking lot, but I may be wrong on that. So I think they're grandfathered in. I think 2 spaces over on the second POD over from C3 used to be a McDonald's way back when. One of those used to be. When it closed, a bank came in. And that is how this section of Markham has trended. It's gone more towards office, which has made a much nicer area for us. It's made Monroe much more usable. When the Iberia Bank moved into the corner, Monroe became much more usable at that end of the street. This Popeyes will end all of that. I'm also a little concerned about the change in the zoning because we'll lose those good protections of office space in an area that the city has decided needs to become more office space use and a buffer to the neighborhood from the more commercial uses at Van Buren and at Cedar and Pine. I don't see any value added to the neighborhood of a low-wage fast food restaurant. I don't think this is the kind of place that people who live in the neighborhood will be working. I don't think it will pay the wages that will support living in the area. You heard some concerns about traffic, crime and increased foot traffic through the area. With 4 kids, we built a fence on our front yard because we were concerned about the high speed of traffic that goes through there, because I thought the staff was very accurate in noting this as one of the primary entrances to Hillcrest. We get a good amount of traffic down there, and often at high speed, which is only made more dangerous by a lot of the neighbors just have to park on the street. At my house, we have a shared driveway, and so we, with 2 cars, we do a fair amount of on-street parking just out of necessity as well. Finally, I just note at the Planning Commission, there was some talk about whether or not a use was a good fit for the neighborhood. Mr. Mackey's done a good job of sort of expanding the neighborhood to include the Markham and University corridor, which is a completely different area, although it's not too far away. As far as our neighborhood, this would not be a good fit. It would be a very significant burden on the homes, the families that live right around here. Some of them would be cut off from their homes because of the parking issue. And the city itself has decided this is not a good fit. As I understand it, the future land use plan says a good fit is office space, which is something that we would be much more likely to support. This is not within that plan development and is not a good fit for this neighborhood. I would ask you very respectfully to uphold the decision of the Planning Commission and deny this change in use. Thank you.
Mr. Richardson, would you point out on the map here where your house is, please?
My house is about 7 doors up, so I think it's just off of that map. I think that may be my house right there.
That's 6, oh, okay, well,
Well, and the house that's in '01, that's an old house. It's been there for a long time. It confuses me why that space is '01, because it's an older house that's there.
thank you.
Thank you.
The next card I have is from Justin Nichols.
I want to thank the mayor, vice mayor, and all the directors for taking time to look at this issue today. I'll be brief. My neighbors have already said a lot of what our concerns are. I'm a married man. My wife and I, we don't have kids yet, but we think that we might want to one day. And with the increase in traffic, there's already on B Street, Monroe, no stop sign that slows traffic down. So traffic gets up to 40 miles per hour often going down our street. We don't know that it's the safest place to have a kid, to raise kids. Luckily, we have a little rock wall at the foot of our yard that would stop any cars from rolling up into our yard, but it's still something that's pretty scary. One thing that happens now already with the Wendy's that's there, we often have trash that winds up in our yard that comes from down the street. One thing that I believe Mr. Mackey pointed out was that the Wendy's is there and that it's C3 and that it's by these areas. The thing is the house directly north of the '01 property has the 2 lots behind it to the west, and so it's been turned into a dog run. So it's not really interrupting any sort of neighbor or home in that area because there's a buffer of 2 acres or I don't know how many acres, but there's 2 lots behind the house directly north of the '01 that are empty that are all part of that house. He talked about how this is similar to the IHOP, which is down at Markham University. There's not really anything that is residential there other than the condos that are in the Target parking lot. That IHOP itself is has a natural barrier of the shopping center right there with Starbucks and the Container Store and all that. That's preventing it from being anywhere near this area. But if you want to expand it out to that area, this would be the 4th or 5th chicken restaurant, that fast food chicken restaurant that would be placed in this area. There's Slim Chickens right across 630. I believe there's a Church's Chicken. There's the really popular Chick-fil-A down on Markham right past University that everybody knows causes a massive amount of traffic every day in the morning and at lunch. We're concerned that this is going to be the case. Oftentimes at 6:30, 7 o'clock, if you start driving down Monroe, there are cars lined up on the east side of Markham going up because the majority of the houses there, as has been said, does not have off-street parking. I park off the street. I live across from Mr. Richardson. My wife parks in our driveway. She leaves before I do in the day, so she I don't want to block her in. It's just a serious issue. There's already a lot of pedestrian traffic. My car has been broken into several times there. So luckily they haven't stolen anything, but it's a thing. Recently at UAMS, my car was stolen from the front entrance. So there is an issue of crime in this area. And so if we're going to add a new element that brings new people into the area, we don't know what's going to happen. And that's a concern, I think, for all of us. I think that's all I have. And I want to appreciate all of y'all for your time. Thank you so much.
Mr. Nichols, so
Yes, sir.
you live
I live at 211
across the street
North Monroe.
from where Mr. Richardson noted he lived?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. The next card I have is from Mr. Eubanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, directors, and staff. As you've heard, many of us have been in this area for some time. My family and I live about 4 houses to the north on the east side, so it's 7 total doors up from this proposed development. We've been in this home in excess of 10 years. When we purchased the home, we owner occupied and spent more than $50,000 to rehab this house. We are currently raising a 7-year-old child who attends in our neighborhood school at Forest Heights STEM Academy. We knew that we were coming to a vibrant mixed-use development when we moved here. That's one of the things we love about Hillcrest is the walkability, that we have areas on Kavanaugh where we can shop and can dine, and we can be quickly about the city on Markham and to my job downtown or to my husband's job at ULR. So we knew what we were getting, but what we thought that we were getting was a bank, a quiet office space, which this is currently zoned as. And we agree that that continues to be the best use for this area. As many people have said, this intersection is very busy, and it becomes backed up well past North Monroe. Many of us avoid this area. Currently, there was an injury accident just a week or so ago, and that pole continues to be broken even now. There's inadequate parking on the restaurant. In fact, my home, being about 7 homes up, is the first home with a fully paved dedicated driveway. So all my neighbors to the south have to do on-street parking, or they may be lucky enough to have alley parking, but for the most part, do not have driveways or dedicated parking. We're dependent on on-street parking because of this, and if you drive by anytime after 4 p.m., you'll see most people are utilizing on-street parking, and the street is very narrow to the point that you often have to pull over to yield to oncoming traffic. I know that there had been an idea of a shared driveway with the Wendy's. I hear that that's now not on the table. Either way, we don't believe that a shared driveway or taking the drive off of North Monroe satisfies our other problems with this request, including foot traffic, as you've heard, litter, noise, potential light pollution from the additional lights that would need to be put in, bad odor, vermin, potential crime. We just feel like that we would be losing a great deal from the addition of this restaurant in our neighborhood. We foresee declining property values, a lack of privacy, and an overall decrease in our use and enjoyment of our home. Again, for those of us closest to this property, we really believe leaving it as office space is most appropriate. Thank you for your time and consideration. Oh, I do have one other point. Talking about Mr. Mackey brought up his appearance with the Hillcrest Residents Association, and that he had appeared or had spoken with them on numerous occasions. I actually have had conversation with Paul Bowen on November the 21st and asked him if they had taken a position on this restaurant. Mr. Bowen at that time made it very clear to me that Mr. Mackey had not appeared on the agenda and not had formally spoken to HRA, and that they did not have a position on this proposed use. So I just want to be very clear about where I believe HRA stands on the issue. As for the petition, I would just reiterate, I also have never seen this petition. Myself, my husband, none of us were asked to sign the petition, and as you heard, many of these signatures were folks from UMS or Department of Health who are workers. They may live in the neighborhood, or they may drive back to homes in Benton, Cabot, or other areas. So I would love for you to take that into consideration. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Eubanks. Mr. Mackey, any response? You're recognized, please.
Thank you. I was at 2 Hillcrest Residents Association meetings, and I'm sorry Mr. Bowen didn't see me. I saw Kathy Webb at him. I saw Gene Fortson at him. And so I was there. The second one I went to, they said, "Why are you here?" And I said, "I'm just here to see if there's any more conversation about our deal." I never said they supported our deal. They didn't take a position. So, you know, I'm sorry if I was misleading in that. They didn't take a position. They weren't against it. So let me just jump into a couple other things. I'm remiss. Tony and staff, Bruce, they did a great job. You're right. We talked with them. That's part of what they're there for. We took some time. We sat down with them. We took the opportunity to meet with those guys and ladies, Donna included, to figure out how we could best utilize this property. And they worked hard with us, and that was a benefit for us, and we appreciated their work. We've heard concerns about the overlay district. But we don't, Scott maybe will pull it up, I don't know, but if we leave this map up here now, If you look at the back of Wendy's, you've got the O1 next to that. The future land use plan calls for everything to the back of Wendy's in O1 all the way down Markham to be office use. So you've got 5 houses on Monroe and 5 houses on Spruce that are technically in the future land use of office. Now, that's a future land use. Keep in mind, when I've been in front of the Planning Commission in the past, we were looking at a property down in the 5200 block. They said, you know, we don't think that's right. We think the land use plan says office, and planning commissioners even said that may be something that we need to revisit because of the way this area is developing out. There is Wendy's and a bank, and the POD you see there actually is an eye clinic. You guys, not this group necessarily, but your institution looked at that for a Waffle House. The McDonald's was across Jackson, and McDonald's was actually on an C3 zone property on the front and something else on the back, and that's what tripped up McDonald's, and why they had to go is because they didn't have all of the right zoning when they wanted to expand their parking lot. So if you think about planning commissioners saying, gosh, we need to revisit this, and if you think about the fact that land use is a recommendation, please take it as a recommendation and not a requirement. Tony's right. We're taking a C3 zone property, which is the western portion of this property, which would allow a restaurant or a bar or a vape shop or any number of other things to come in without any discussion at this level on on a third of that property right now. But we're asking for a PCD that gives you guys the rights to control how we develop this, where the light standards go, how this is set up, and the hours that we keep. So you're getting a better deal. We're giving up stuff to give you guys the opportunity to make this a PCD. The O1 use behind it appears to be residential. That's fine, but again, that's one of those uses that can change overnight, and you would never know that it was office. We didn't go up and down and knock on the streets to talk to folks, but we did talk to people in the community. There are a number of this. I heard Bruce comment that there's somebody from, I think he said Bigelow on there. I think my community is big enough that I'm going to include anybody who comes into my community, and there is a need for service in that area. And part of that service are people who are working there, but there are also people who are guests at UAMS who have a lot of other things to worry about than how far they have to drive to get for chicken. Again, the overlay district said that the plan was acceptable. The staff has said that parking's acceptable. We're not asking for even a loss of 1 that you did for Tropical Smoothie downstairs, or down in Hillcrest. This entrance at Monroe is better suited than any other entrance for this type of use. Tony talked about being consistent. The night that we went to the Planning Commission for this deal, a Zaxby's was looking at a corner location, and they were on the consent agenda, and they had office behind them, and they had residential people living in that office behind them. There was no conversation, no discussion. So if we want to be consistent, we'd love to have the consistency of that. Trash comes from a variety of places. It's terrible to think that just because someone moves in that you're going to get new trash from that group. And with that said, I'm not aware of any correlation between Popeye's Chicken and crime. I am aware, being a commercial realtor, that empty buildings are asking for trouble. If you ask anybody who's got an empty building, you got to worry about people breaking in, you got to worry about copper theft, you got to worry about people busting up porcelain commodes or sinks. So let's get this property repurposed and get somebody in there. It balances investment and redevelopment with a good use for the larger community. We're not asking for any variances. And we're trying to give you guys control of a use that's going to come in that is desired by a number of people some who do live in the area and some who do work in the area, but all that are members of the community here. We appreciate your support this evening and look forward to your positive vote. I'll be glad to answer any other questions or look forward to anything else we can do for you tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mackey. Are there any questions for Mr. Mackey? Or any questions for Mr. Mackey? Okay, thank you. All right. Any discussion by the board? Hearing none, we've got the ordinance in front of us. All in favor of the passage of the ordinance indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. There's a roll call requested.
Director Adcock? Director Hendricks? Director Richardson? Director Webb? Director Kazort? Director Wright?
No.
Director Computers? Aye, okay. Director Fortson? Vice Mayor Hines?
Yes.
6-2. What is that?
Did you ask Director Hendricks how she wishes to vote? Aye. She votes aye. So by a vote of 6-3, the ordinance passes. Thank you all very much for your patience, time, and attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to close the public hearing. Okay, let's see. We are now at a point in our agenda for an executive session to deal with item 17, 18, and the last M8. Is there a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of appointments and other personnel matters that may be discussed? Second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, we're in executive session and we'll return. Session. Concerning appointments, I would like to appoint Gary Cooper to the unexpired term of Debbie Havner for the Arkansas Arts Center. Is there a motion to confirm?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Mr. Cooper is approved. I'd like to appoint Dr. Salma Rayoff and Marion Berry to terms on the Central Arkansas Library System Board. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. I'd like to reappoint Dixon Flake to the Little Rock Technology Park Authority Board.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. I'd like to clarify for the record that when the Technology Park Authority Board was first created, that Mr. C.J. Duval was appointed to a term which was based on drawing staggered terms, and he drew a 3-year term. We were notified we were notified that he continued to serve past that 3 years, and in January 16 was appointed to a full 5-year term, and I'd like to have you confirm that 5-year appointment between November 14 and November of 2019 for Mr. C.J. Duval. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And then a correction matter for the Little Rock District Commission. I would like to move Richard Kelly, who's currently in an at-large term on the Historic District Commission, to a MacArthur District owner term. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And I'd like to appoint Lauren Frederick to the at-large term. from the district owner, moving her from the district owner term. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
She's approved. And I'd like to correct the record on a vacation of Denise Jones Ennett to the at-large term as she already serves on the Little Rock Cent Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. She's also approved. As to other personnel matters, we did have other discussion, however, no decision, no vote was taken on any matter discussed relative to personnel. That concludes the information that I have for this meeting this evening. Is there anything?
Move to recess.
There's a motion to recess until next Tuesday.
Second.
Is there a second? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. I sent a couple of notes out to you all today, if you'll take a look at them. One was just the press release on the businesses that are going to be locating in the technology park offices, and it's a nice list. I hope you'll take a chance to take a look at and read that. The second thing is that the Municipal League is holding regional meetings, and the regional meeting for us is going to be held in North Little Rock on December 12th at 11 o'clock. And we as board members are all specifically invited. We got to give them a head count, so if you'll look at your calendars and let me know about that, I'll be happy to pass that on.
December 12th.
Okay, that's all the information I have for you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
We already done it.
Oh, okay, we already did that. Motion to recess. We did. Thank you. All right.